Hey guys, so for today's video, I'm going to try and do a leopard print cat eye design. I saw this on Instagram. I'll leave the little video up on the screen, but I thought it was really cool and I wanted to try it out. It also looked like it would be pretty easy compared to like some of the other crazy cat eye designs you see people doing. So I'm just starting out with House of Horrors from Nails by Dev. I thought this would be a really good color for the leopard print design because it's kind of like a orangey brown, almost like a rust colored color. A rust color. I don't know what I was saying there for a second. But anyhow, I thought it would look really good for the cat eye, or for the leopard print. So I'm just taking it and I'm applying it to all of the nails, and I am going to go through and use the magnet on them after I get them all painted, but I just wanted to go through and get them all painted first because this is just the base layer. I felt like I wanted to have a base layer down first and then do the leopard print on that. So I'm just using this as the base layer, and I'm going to demagnetize the entire nail. So how I'm going to do that is I'm just taking my rectangle magnet and I'm just going to swipe it across the top of the nail, and that's going to make all of the magnet pieces disappear. So it's just going to be left with this kind of like jelly brown kind of color on the nail. And I figured I would do that just so that way, I don't know, I felt like it was going to help enhance the cat or the leopard print design that I was going to do on top. I don't know, I feel like maybe it might have ended up making the leopard print not show up very well in the end. I don't know, you'll see later on. I actually kind of struggled with this design, but anyhow, here I am demagnetizing the nail. Like I said, I just take this rectangle magnet and swipe it across the entire nail. I might have to do it a couple times on some of them because I should have done it again on that one. Because you could still see like some of the little magnet pieces up at the top there, so you can see me going across it a couple times just to make sure that all of those magnet pieces are completely gone, and then I'm left with this like jelly brown kind of color here. And I am just going through and doing all of the nails all at once, and I'm not carrying in between because I am taking away all the magnet pieces. This does go pretty quick, unlike if you're doing an actual design, it does take a little bit of time. But since I'm removing all of those magnet pieces, I just go through, do that real quick, and then I do cure for a full 60 seconds. So I am a little annoyed with this video because I spent a long time trying to figure out how to get this leopard print to work because it wasn't really working as well as it did in the video. And I spent so long trying to figure out the positioning of the scissors and the magnets and like how to hold it to the nail and everything, and I thought I was recording all of that to show you guys like all the different things that I was doing to try and get this to work and everything. And then all of a sudden I realized I filmed two entire nails without, or well, I didn't film two entire nails. I did two entire nails without filming them. So a little annoyed on that part, but for this nail, I had it figured out on how to get it to work. You could see the pinky nail was the first nail that I did. That didn't really look that great, but then the ring nail ended up looking a whole lot better. So how I figured out to get this to work pretty well was to go in, bring all the magnet pieces up. I just used my cylinder magnet for that to bring all those magnet pieces up to the surface. And then I had to hold the scissors really close to the nail, which how she did it in her video as well. Like, the scissors have to practically be touching the nail without like actually touching the nail. That's how close they have to be to kind of get this leopard print design, because the farther away you hold it, the bigger the spots are going to be, and it just kind of looks like random blobs and not like the defined kind of leopard print look. It still doesn't look as good as the video in my opinion, but again, this is my first time doing this, so I was still kind of messing around trying to figure it out. This is the setup that I have going on how I found out to get this to work. I didn't have a rectangle magnet like separate from the wand. I tried doing it like this at first and it just wasn't working. Like, it wasn't doing anything magnet wise. And then, so I found out I had to put it like right next to the magnet, like on the side. And I found out that having the magnet closer to the handle of the scissors worked a lot better than having the magnet closer to the point of the scissors, if that makes sense. I mean, you did just see me showing you the little setup there, so you could see how it was working, and this was how I was able to get it to work. And then with this nail, of course, because I, you know, moved the scissors all around and it wasn't in the exact same spot that I had it, and it wasn't like the exact same setup that I had it when I finally got it to work, it started not working again and being like the first pinky nail that I did when I was first trying to figure it out. So you're gonna see me here redoing this nail a bunch of times because it just wasn't working, and I basically had to do trial and error again to try and get it to work out and get those spots to be nice and more clean and more defined. Because as you can see here, even though I am holding the scissors really close to the nail, they are just being blobs. Like, it's not doing the little curves and lines like it was on the previous nail. So I had to mess around with the scissors and the magnet again to try and get it to work. And I think what I ended up doing was flipping the scissors around so they're this way at first. Like, I was trying to move them around, like slide them up and down the side of the magnet to see if that would work, but then it wasn't working. So I think what I ended up doing was just taking the scissors and like flipping them around, and that ended up working for some reason. So I don't know, when doing this you just kind of have to mess around and play around with it. And even after I ended up getting it to work better, it still wasn't as good as the ring nail or the middle nail. Like, those two are the best. See here, I flipped it around and then it ended up working a little better. I don't know why. And I don't know like how that happened, but it ended up working a lot better once I got it like that. But it still wasn't as good as, like I said, the ring and the middle. So I don't know, it kind of worked. Like, this set was kind of a success, but it was also kind of a fail at the same time, because not all the nails were like consistent and the spots were kind of a mess. And I don't know, I feel like I didn't do something right maybe, or I don't know if it's like my magnet wasn't that great, like it wasn't strong enough to send the like magnetic currents or whatever through the scissors to get it to work, or maybe my scissors weren't the right kind of scissors. I don't know. I do want to try it again. I did also on those first two nails, because I was having such a hard time with the scissors working. On the pinky nail, I did try to do it with a pen magnet, but the pen magnet was a little too big and it was just creating blobs, or like, yeah, blob spots instead of like leopard spots. Kind of like how my scissors were when I was messing up there, and you could see it just created a big kind of blob there and it didn't like do a line. That's kind of how the pen magnet was working. I do have actually this other tool that I think I might want to try and see if that would work better for this. I don't know. I feel like this is how everyone was feeling when doing the magnetic heart designs. They're trying to figure out how to twist the paper clips and put it on the magnet and where to hold it and how to angle it, and it's just a whole lot of trial and error. And it's like once you get the magnet set up the right way to get it to do the design how you want it, you really can't move it around or switch it up. Otherwise, you're right back to the start and having to retry everything and move everything around to try and get it right again. And it's honestly kind of annoying to do all this. But it was fun. It was fun to test this out and try it and see, like, you know, how to do this. And now I know better, like, if I do retry this on, you know, how to go about doing this. I might retry this again. I also might try with a different type of Cateye gel. Because maybe this gel wasn't the best one to use. Because, you know, with Cateye gels, they have different types that have like all the different sized particles and whatever. So maybe the particles in this were too big. Maybe they were too small. I don't know. Also, maybe I need to look into getting a stronger magnet. That might have also been my problem. So anyhow, these Cateye designs are all kind of just basically trial and error, and you gotta keep figuring it out and keep working at it until you figure it out. And then even once you do figure it out, you know, like I said, you gotta kind of leave it how it is. Otherwise, you're gonna have to start all over. And I imagine doing this again, I'd probably have to, you know, trial and error it again to try and get the scissors and the magnet back in the right place again and holding it the right way and whatever. So I don't know. After I got the spots on, I did flash cure in between each nail, and then once I got all the nails done, I did go ahead and cure for a full 60 seconds. Now I'm just taking my shiny top coat from LGN and applying that, and then I cure that for 60 seconds. I feel like this would also look really good matte. It might give it more of that like fuzzy fur type of feel to it, maybe even, because Cateye gel does look really nice matte. I say this every time I talk about Cateye magnets and like matte top coating them. I feel like they shouldn't look good being matte because they are like shimmery and sparkly, and like usually shimmery sparkly glitter polishes, they don't always look that great when they're matte top coated, but Cateye polishes do look really cool matte top coated. And I almost feel like maybe that would help with the leopard print effect and maybe make it look a little more like fur. I don't know, I'd have to try that out. Like I said, I do want to try this again and like try out this other tool that I have and maybe get a stronger magnet to try and figure all that out. And then maybe I'll try matte top coating it to see what it looks like then. But overall, I think it came out pretty decent. I feel like just looking at the nails, not knowing that they're supposed to be leopard print, you're just gonna look at this and be like, it's just random blobby splotches on the nail. But when you know it's leopard print, you can kind of get the leopard print feel to the nail. And like I said, the middle and the ring ended up being the best because by the time I got to the ring, I had figured out how to hold the magnet and how it needed to be positioned and like the scissors and everything. And then I left it that way for the middle nail, but then I moved it around to kind of show you guys like how I figured out to get it to work, and then it kind of went downhill on the pointer nail. And then the thumb was, I feel like, a little bit better than the pointer, but it wasn't as good as the middle and the ring. And then, of course, the pinky nail was the first one, so it was a hot mess. And then after switching it, after the middle nail, the pointer became a hot mess too. But like I said, overall, I think they came out pretty well, and they do kind of give that leopard print. Again, like I said, I don't know, maybe the particles were a little too big on this one, so it's kind of hard to see the spots a little bit because the particles are so big. And if you use one of those smaller particle Cateye polishes, maybe you could get more defined like spots. But also I kind of feel like the bigger particles help with the kind of like imperfectness of like leopard prints, you know? So I don't know, but I do really like how they came out. And again, like I said in the beginning, I feel like maybe if I wouldn't have put that first layer down and demagnetize it, I don't know, maybe it would have ended up a little better and just had this one layer, because I do kind of feel like maybe the base is a little too dark. I don't know. There's a lot of things that I want to try again and like test it out and see different ways and like how to get it better. But yeah, this is how they turned out this time. Not bad for my first time trying this. I feel like they did turn out pretty well, and I do really like how they look. But that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it.